Quiet. Okay, welcome back to semester 2. We are on chapter 3 of Science of Flight, Aerospace Science. We're going to talk about human physiology and flight. Can everyone moving? Can you please be quiet? If anybody turn to chapter 3 in your book, page 214. We have a picture here on 214 of some guys look like they're skydiving. They're pararescue, Air Force and Navy SEALs, jumping out of a plane from altitude. I think this is in Hawaii. Yes, in Hawaii. I've actually done skydiving before. It's scary to death. It about kills you. But what we're here to talk about for the next 2 lessons are the human physiology of flight and how your body changes when you actually go up in the air. It looks so easy when you're looking at Hollywood movies about flying and pulling G's and flying at 20,000 feet. No big deal, but truly your body was designed to be on Earth, and there's a lot of physiological differences that happen to your body when you go up to 20,000 feet or you start expressing pulling G's, which we'll talk about, force of gravity that is greater than the 1 G that you're experiencing now sitting on the ground. These guys that are jumping out of the planes, I don't know how high that is, maybe that's 10,000 feet, 7,000 feet. Imagine falling straight down 1 mile to the ground. Think about their body changing and their the gases and cavities in their bodies, how they vary. So it's quite a different world through that. Okay, this is the first slide that we've come through with our overview. We'll actually, for the first lesson, it'll probably take a couple days. We'll go through the lesson 1, human physiology and flying through the air, and then we'll talk about protective equipment and how we get around all the individual problems we have with our bodies in flight. I was able to bring up on page 216. There was an incident that was well known when I was younger. It was called Payne Stewart. He was a golfer, and actually he was a rich golfer, did real well. He had his own private plane. And in October 1999, he and his pilot, took off in their private plane, and he had to fly about 1,000 miles to get to the next golf tournament. And the bottom line was they took off, and then basically the airplane lost contact with the controller. And the controller on the ground was trying to talk to the pilot, and there was no news. Nobody was home, and the plane kept climbing. I forgot the details here. It's in the book. Let's see. The plane climbed past flight level 230. Ooh, we covered that. Someone here in the class, what does flight level mean? What does flight level 230 mean? What is that? Yes, sir?
Is that 2,300 feet?
2,300 feet? Oh, no. 23,000, correct. Remember, flight level 180 means you go to 18,000 feet and you turn the altimeter to 2992. So when we talk about flight level 230, you change the altimeter to 2992, so everybody's working off the same data point, and you go up to 23,000 feet. So he's climbing to 23,000 feet, and then they went up to flight level 390, and it just kept flying, kept climbing. And he was also not responding to the controller's directions on the ground. And so what they did, I was actually in the 1st Air Force, which is the Air Defense of America, and I was there when they actually launched 2 F-16s from Oklahoma and flew them up and intercepted this Learjet. The Learjet was still climbing up to flight level 450, which is as high as the Learjet goes, and the F-16s came up next to the Learjet, and they looked in the windows, and everything was fogged up and iced up. And when you're at 40,000 feet, the inside of your plane should not have ice. And so basically it meant that there was not a good pressure check on the plane, and the pressure seals had failed. And so the higher he got, the less oxygen he got, and everybody passed out. It's called hypoxia. And that's one of the reasons we'll go over it. And the bottom line, it was a very tragic incident because the plane ended up veering off and flying completely out of the way, climbed up until the plane ran out of gas because everybody in the plane was unconscious, and it crashed, in Oklahoma or something like that, I believe. And it was a horrible thing. Multiple people died. So it was a bad situation, and I was there actually during the incident on the ground helping observe it. But that shows that man was not meant to fly without supplemental systems above flight level 180. We're going to go over the different zones of the flight envelope. We're going to go over some basic physical laws that control the air and in your body and outside your body. We'll talk about the circulation and respiration processes and the fact of how you actually reduce the effects of the high altitude on the body. Spatial disorientation. Anybody ever heard of that? What does that mean? Get it, Hoffman.
Where you can't tell like where the ground is or gravity. Like
Exactly. What is up and what is down?
I know how to spit.
Say what now?
You spit, you can tell by the way.
If you spit, you know which way is up and down.
We'll go to the ground.
We'll go over this. I have been spatially disoriented multiple times, a couple times really bad, but you get used to it and you figure it out. Okay, we have been through a lot of this on the weather side of the house, the different zones of the flight envelope. First of all, let's talk about physiology. And what is physiology? Does anybody know what physiology is?
Study of physics?
Study of physics. Well, that's a good idea, but that's not quite it.
Study of how the body functions.
How about the study of science that deals with the way living things function? So that's really good, Gabriel. Physiology is how living things functions and how the parts work together to make everything happen. That's kind of what we're looking at now, because again, your body, just like say scuba diving, you're not designed to live without any supplemental systems underwater. You're certainly not designed to live with supplemental systems above a certain altitude. Most flight takes place in the troposphere and stratosphere. And again, the passenger airlines, they usually fly in the 30,000 feet, say, 30 to 40,000 feet, not much more than 40. But they try to fly above the clouds, above the bad weather, so that everybody can have good weather. Let's talk about some of the physics involved with flying. This is all on page 220. Let's see, 221, 222. Yeah, 220. Boyle's Law. I'm not sure. I think we went over it in chapter 1. Boyle's Law talks about when you have a trapped gas. Let's think about this. You have a trapped gas. You have a balloon. And you decrease the pressure, what happens to the balloon?
It deflates, sir.
If you decrease the pressure around the balloon, the balloon will inflate. Okay? Good try. So here, we live in Prescott. I know you guys have done this. You live in Prescott and you drink some water out of a water bottle. And so the water bottle's half full and you screw the top on. And then guess what? Your mother and father say, hey, let's go down to Phoenix. And you go from 6,000 feet down to 1,300 feet, and you drive down into the valley, what we call the valley. What happens to that water bottle?
It gets crazy.
It cracks. It goes down, right? And the opposite thing happens which is exactly what happened a couple weekends ago. I'm down in the Phoenix, and I'm brushing my teeth, and I put the top on the toothpaste container, right, in Phoenix, and I drive up here to Prescott, and I get ready to pop the top off the toothpaste container, and what happens to all the toothpaste? It shoots in your face. Yeah, it went all over me. It made me really happy, okay? I know that's never happened to my cadets. But yes, and then guess what? And you know what? I was sitting there thinking at the time, gee, that's an exact example of Boyle's Law. Did I do that? No, I'm not that smart. No, I didn't think about it until I started reviewing this. No, but that's Boyle's Law, the fact that pressure increases will make everything expand, volume increases. So the same thing here, when airplane climbs, what happens to the atmospheric pressure? When airplane climbs, does pressure go up?
It goes up.
When airplane climbs, does the pressure go up or down?
Down.
Down. And when the pressure goes down, good job, Cody. When the pressure goes down, what happens to the volume? Up. It gets bigger. So here is the very embarrassing question. You're flying in a plane. And actually planes and cabin pressure, like for the commercial planes, you can go to 40,000 feet. The actual cabin pressure only goes up to about 8,000. Okay, so that's not that much. But let's say you're flying and you have eaten a big lunch the night prior, and you're just like me, and you love to eat Mexican food. Oh yeah, man, you've had a lot of beans and fun things, and then you go flying. Is your stomach a closed environment?
No.
No.
No. There are two outlets to your stomach, right? One that goes up and one that goes down. Okay, so if you're flying in a fighter and your cabin pressure goes to like 12,000 feet because you're maybe at 45,000 feet, it's a different schedule than the airlines. What's going to happen to your stomach?
It's going to start
It's going to expand. All that pressure in your stomach is going to expand. And what's going to make you want to do?
Go to the bathroom.
Well, that or burp. A lot. And did I say a lot? I mean a lot. So, one of the little secrets that people don't realize is that pilots who are flying and changing altitude violently all the time, what are they doing all the time? Burping, or worse. Okay? But that is not in Hollywood, okay? That is not in Hollywood. I see you laughing. All right, and again, that's Boyle's Law. We got to deal with that every day. All right, Dalton's Law. Dalton's Law talks about partial pressure. That is on your page 220. The pressure of a mixture of gases is equal to the sum of the partial pressures. How much, what percentage oxygen are we breathing right this second?
21.
Ding, 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 ding. Good job. What percentage nitrogen are we breathing right this second? 78. Good job. Yes, and there's about 1% of everything else. So the total pressure is equal to 21% plus 78%. And that all depends on your altitude. Is there less pressure in Prescott than there is in Phoenix? We're 6,000 feet here versus 1,300 feet in Phoenix. There's less pressure. Technically, if there's less pressure, what is the oxygen content here versus in Phoenix?
Less.
That's kind of crazy, isn't it? So therefore, if you're out here running a marathon, yes, Gabriel.
I was about to say, playing football down in Phoenix is a lot easier than playing.
You play football and you're a Superman down in Phoenix. And why do you think the people in Phoenix who are good come up here and play football and they lose? They wear out by third and fourth quarter, right? I mean, it's a fact. Yes, sir.
Every time, when I played football, every time we went down to the valley, we always had to readjust the air in our helmets because it always would go up or down and it was really irritating.
There you go. And that's, hey, you're dealing with Boyle's Law and Dalton Law. You didn't know you were that smart there, did you, Cadet Hoffman? So what happens if you're a runner and you're running up here in Phoenix and I run a mile or two and I go down to San Diego, Rocky Point, sea level? Is it going to be easier or harder? Easier. I'm the man. When I go down to the beach, I can run as far as I want. because it is so much easier. You have more oxygen, everything's good. How about Henry's Law? Has anybody ever opened up a bottle of soda, carbonated drink? What happens then? And what is that? Why is that? Why, when you pop it, does the air come out? Yes, sir.
That is the carbonation mixing with the air.
Correct, but carbonation is mixing the air before or after?
After. The carbonation was trapped inside the bottle, and once you open it up, then it starts to fizz because air is getting into the bottle.
Ding, 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 ding. Air gets in there, the pressure is released, right?
Yes.
And it goes up. How about this? If you guys have ever done this, you have a friend who you know is really a trickster, a bad guy, and and he shakes up your bottle. Oh, I did that. Not that I've ever done stuff like this, but friends of mine might have. And they open it up, and what's going to happen? Kaboom! But if you're a smart dude, like I am, not my friends, and I go and use a Coke can, because I like Diet Cokes, and I know my friends have been around it, do I just go and open it up? No way, man. I know my son, for instance, might be shaking it. I will sit there and tap the top of that Coke can. And what happens when you tap it?
That causes the pressure to go down.
Well, it causes the pressure to be the carbonated drink to be dissolved back into the water, right? Versus when you shake it around, all the bubbles come up. When you tap, 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 it sort of settles down, it goes back into the water, and then you can open it up, and it's not that much. Anybody ever had, I know no one's here had champagne, okay? What is champagne?
It's an alcoholic wine that should not be consumed.
Alcoholic wine, carbonated wine, fermented wine.
That's cider.
You want me to tell you a funny story? Is that champagne was invented in the Champagne district of France. It's a particular area of France that had wine, and the guys who were making the wines were monks. They lived in a monastery, and back in the day, they didn't have fresh water, so you had to drink. Anything you drank had to be alcoholic because that was what was not going to kill you. Water would kill you because it was never fresh. I mean, you didn't have fresh water. So these monks were making all this wine, and one of them messed up. He made some wine with a bacteria in it, and it became carbonated. And he opened it up, and all of a sudden carbonation was invented. And he drank it. You know how wine is sort of just like flat, like water. Compare that to Coca-Cola, it's kind of different. And his quote that is pretty famous, he says, "I am drinking the stars," because nobody had ever drank carbonated anything. And so that's where all this carbonation came from. Henry's Law. Why does this matter with flying, guys?
You have soda or pressurized stuff when you open it at all.
Yes, sir.
Because your cabin pressure.
Cabin pressure, yes. Carbonated pressure. Also, I'll tell you what this really does affect with is with scuba diving, because if you have nitrogen floating around here in the air, but you compress it, especially in your body, especially in your bloodstream, and the nitrogen bubbles come out, they can cause you what's called the bends. And you can have blood clots and die. So same thing with flying, is you have the air come out of your lungs or your blood, and they bubble out in nitrogen, because nitrogen is 78%, it can kill you. It has, without a doubt. Okay, let's talk about respiration and circulation. What is the definition of respiration, guys?
Breathing.
Breathing, that's a good idea. What about circulation? What is circulation?
Process of blood moving through your body.
Ding, 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 good job. Page 223, 224, we talk about the respiration of blood moving through your body and how it actually goes into your lungs and your bronchial tubes and then circled through the pump of the circulation system, which is your heart. Why does all this matter with flying? What does this have to do with flying? Yes, sir.
Because you have less air when you're flying, and so it affects your breathing.
You better believe it. If you are not able to accept oxygen like we are now, what's going to happen?
Die.
You're going to pass out. Is anybody? Hey, this is a great question. Has anybody here ever passed out?
Yep.
Tell me, good Lord, most of the people. Tell me a story. Cadet thing.
Well, at wrestling practice, and
I was at wrestling practice and a guy choked me and he killed me, right?
I was really sick and I couldn't breathe. So,
You were really sick at wrestling practice and you couldn't breathe
yeah.
and somebody choked you and you passed out?
No, I was just wrestling really hard. And
Okay, all right, so think about it. You're wrestling, you're needing more oxygen, and you didn't get it, right? And you passed out, okay? When you pass out, then you must get oxygen and you come back, hopefully. Hopefully you come back. What else? Somebody else passed out. Yes, sir. Good night.
Me and my older brother, when we were younger, we used to fight a lot, like fist fight, and I guess I was just being really annoying one day and he decided to choke me out.
He tried to what now?
Choke me out.
Choke you. Oh, that's fabulous. Okay. So basically another loss of oxygen from what you needed and you passed out. Okay. Your body could not absorb it. Melanie, tell me about your experience.
Well, I was training for regionals for swim team,
Swim team, okay.
and I guess I forgot to breathe. And
Can you forget to breathe?
yes, while you're swimming, you can forget to breathe. Like you could open your mouth but not accept air.
Wow. You're much more intelligent than me I am. I did not know you could forget to breathe. And so you passed out in the pool?
I had people come get me, but yeah, I passed out in the pool.
And you went to the bottom of the pool? That is not good for the home team. I'm not going to let my son Ryan swim anymore. That's not good. All right, so again, can this happen flying, guys?
Yes.
Give me an example.
If you get really lightheaded because you're not getting enough oxygen, you can pass out.
Just pass out. Guess what? I just gave that example of the Payne Stewart, right? Pilot took off. He was not getting the oxygen. Here's the question, Melanie, when you were exercising, getting ready to pass out, floating to the bottom of the pool, did you know it was going to happen?
Yes and no.
Yes and no. What does that mean?
Well, I knew I was keep swimming and I knew I was trying to breathe, but and I knew I wasn't getting air, but just the mentality, I just kept swimming.
So you kept swimming through the pain. How about who else has passed out in the back there? Anybody? Cody, when did you pass out?
Well, one time,
Band camp.
you know what? Well, I was actually wrestling around with my brother, and I don't know, he got mad at me because I hit him in the face, and he choked me out a little bit.
You guys have lots of conflicts with your brothers, huh?
Well, I love him. I mean, kind
I loved him until he choked me and I passed out.
And then I woke up.
Did you know that you were going to pass out?
No, I didn't.
Has anybody been standing up and gotten lightheaded and thought they were going to pass out? Cody.
I was climbing a mountain. I was climbing a mountain with my cousins, and I started to get really lightheaded, and I nearly fell backwards.
Well, that is great. Getting lightheaded. That is really kind of an indication of getting ready to pass out. If you look at the numbers here I have on the screen, it's saying about 12,000 feet, your partial pressure is decreased, and so therefore you should start feeling lightheaded. We're sitting at 6,000 feet right now. Is there any place in Arizona that is about 12,000 feet?
Groom Creek.
Groom Creek. Thank you very much. Try again.
Flagstaff.
Flagstaff. Ding, ding, ding. Give me air 5. Good job. Yes, Flagstaff. And this is called the Humphreys Peak, San Francisco. San Francisco's peak, and Humphreys Peak is one of them. How high is that?
Pretty high.
Pretty high. Oh, it's above Prescott.
13,000 feet.
50,000 feet? No, there's no mountains that are 50,000 feet. I think it's about 14,000 feet, okay? And I walked up there, with my wife to have a day out. We went up to the top of Mount Humphreys Peak, 14,000 feet. Can you get hypoxia, or can you feel lightheaded doing that?
Yeah.
Yes.
You better believe it. You better believe it. Hypoxia is a body's situation where it's not getting enough air for the situation. What you guys all describe passing out is hypoxia, and you did not get enough oxygen for the situation you were in, and you ended up passing out. It even says by 18,000 feet, the thinner air, means less oxygen, means your lungs can only absorb half of the oxygen you need. How do these people, hold it, what's the tallest mountain in the world?
Mount
Mount
Everest.
Everest, 20.
How high? 20 what? How high is it?
29,028 feet.
Yes, there's no mountains over 30,000, but has anybody ever been to the top of Mount Everest?
Yeah, a lot of times.
Talk to me.
How do you get there?
With an oxygen mask.
You climb up and down a bunch of other mountains.
Generally, you have supplemental oxygen because above 18,000 feet, and really they call it the death zone, right? I think it's above 20,000 feet.
Do it without.
People die if you don't have oxygen, and so generally people have supplemental oxygen climbing all the way up to 30,000, 29,000 feet. There's no land mountains above 30,000 feet. There are mountains on the earth above 30,000. They're under the water.
There's some people that have gone without oxygen.
Yes, very rare. And that's exactly right. That is pretty unusual. And usually when they do that, they do it quickly, right? They don't stay there for 2 weeks doing it. Or they go to a base camp, they do it quickly. So hypoxia. So all of you guys who have passed out have experienced hypoxia. This is what we'll finish up on here. And I want you to know, when you talk about hypoxia, it is a very, very dangerous situation flying. Can you, as a passenger in a plane, experience hypoxia?
Yes.
You better believe it. If your plane's not pressurized and you're not getting the proper oxygen, you could, and you're climbing up to 20,000 feet, and the cabin pressure is not 8, it's 20, you will get hypoxia. And actually, pilots actually go through training, which I did, where you actually go through training in what's called a altitude chamber. And that's where you sit in an altitude chamber and become hypoxic on purpose to see what it's like. And the altitude chambers are small. They're about the size of a large closet. And and it is really funny. You're sitting in an altitude chamber, and you're sitting with your buddies, you're talking like this, everybody gives them a thumbs up, and they start to increase the altitude of the chamber. Oh, by the way, the chamber's made of lead and steel because it has to withstand the pressures. And your partial pressure decreases, and I become hypoxic. I've done it 3 times.
Is it fun?
It is sort of fun, yes. I mean, it is not scary because you're not going to die, but the point is you're supposed to recognize what it's like to be hypoxic. And that's why I was asking you guys if you ever realized that you were getting ready to pass out. Because the exact situation for me, everybody's different, is that my fingers turn blue. And I mean blue, you see this wall, blue fingernails. And it is pretty wild, and your mental cognitive ability becomes confused. So imagine me sitting there and looking at my blue fingers and going, wow, those are really blue fingers. Those are really cool. And you don't realize that you're getting ready to pass out. It's a rare person to say, I'm going to pass out in 1 minute. No, you lose it. And it's very insidious. It's very slow. And what would happen was they would actually allow you to write your name.
Right.
So I sit there and write Denny Peoples. Wow, those are blue fingernails. Da-da-da-da. Blue. Both of them are blue. What is my name? Why am I here? Who are you? And they have this on videotape. It's very interesting. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to play you a videotape, and we do have time, here on YouTube of a hypoxic situation, which is in a video chamber. And let's see if we can do this here.
Notice the facial expression marking the loss of youthful consciousness by a large, stupid grin.
Okay, so what he's doing is a very menial task. He's just trying to do a very simple thing until he becomes hypoxic and cannot actually do it. Slowing down.
20 seconds, the bell is sounded and the mask is done, but there is gross twitching of the hands, and without the observer, the mask would have been dropped. Recovery again is rapid.
Okay, so that was called insidious. It was slow. This one's going to be a rapid decompression. This happens in planes very rarely. You're up at 20, 30,000 feet, and all of a sudden something blows off the plane, and it's rapid decompression. The fog will be the actual humidity in the air. So he's normal. Yeah, that's a rapid decompression, and now he has no oxygen. His breathing he's trying to breathe faster in order to get more air in. He's confused. He doesn't know where he is. And guess what? If you're a pilot, are you able to fly the plane? No. You crash and burn. There should be somebody, I hope, going to give him some oxygen. There. And that's what would give you oxygen. If you're in a plane and you have a rapid decompression, I've had one in my life, what's the first thing you do?
Put on your mask.
You put on your mask 100% oxygen, and it helps you. But truly, in a fighter, you descend immediately vertical, straight down below 18,000 feet, and you get more oxygen. But if you're slowly climbing, like the Payne Stewart accident at the beginning, you do not know that you're passing out. Just like some of you guys did not know you were passing out when you were wrestling with your brother or friends, and you may not even be able to put on the mask. What about in the planes? When you're in a plane and you have a decompression, where do the masks fall?
Right in front of your face.
Why do you think they do that?
So you know where they are.
Okay. And the air is coming out, and they do that on purpose so that you might even be able to breathe in some of the oxygen coming out of the air. This guy almost died. Look at his hands. See, he was freaking out. He didn't even know he was moving his hands. He had no oxygen.
Wait, wow.
So that gives an example of what happens when you're hypoxic. The other thing to realize is, can you become hypoxic in Arizona?
Yes.
I'm telling you, climbing up to the top of Humphreys Peak, I guarantee you, every day someone gets dizzy and get ready to pass out and lay down. Does anybody know what altitude sickness is? Anybody ever heard of that? Yes, sir. What's that?
It's where if you go up too high, you'll feel sick, or you go down too high, you'll still stay.
It's because your body's not working well with no oxygen. I mean, the mountain climbers have to go down low enough to get in. Yes, sir.
A few months ago, my friend's wedding was coming up, and we all went out and hiked to just kind of celebrate while everyone was around. His fiance got really dizzy, and she fell off about a 15-foot rock.
Here in Prescott?
Kind of close to Prescott.
Well, guess what? She's probably from the sea level.
Yeah, well, she's from Sweden. So.
Sweden, there you go. Well, Sweden's got a lot of mountains, but she's probably from near the ocean, right? You see what I'm saying? And I'm telling you, it's flatlanders. People coming from Florida come up and go skiing in the Rockies at 12,000 feet. They can have altitude sickness, okay?
3 days before the wedding. So.
That's pretty funny. I have actually gotten hypoxic just like these people when I was over in Europe, and I was up to a large, tall mountain called the Matterhorn. It's a pretty famous mountain. And I actually, you can take a ski lift. Not ski lift, what do they call it? It's called téléphérique. It's a, you can actually take a huge gondola, yeah, there's different words. But this is what it looked like. And I actually took a gondola up to the base camp right underneath the Matterhorn. Actually, that's exactly what it is right there. So I was sitting there looking at the Matterhorn like that, and it was snow, and it was cold, and all of a sudden, you know what? I felt like it was beautiful, and it was lightheaded, and I did not have my gloves on. And I looked at my fingers, and they matched the sky. And I was with my wife and a buddy, and I go, you know what? I am getting hypoxic. And I don't know why. We had hiked across, some snow, and so I had some, I'd expanded energy, but my buddies had, but everybody acts differently. So imagine being a pilot and having gloves on. Can you look up and see that your fingers are blue? No, you don't know. You have to mentally know. But I actually got hypoxic visiting this mountain in Europe one time. It was pretty interesting. All right, we are going to stop the lesson right here, basically right on page 224, and we will come back tomorrow and clean things up.